Hi, this is Jake Gray, and I am recording this week's response to the question by Wesley Scatena. Sorry if I butchered that. Wesley asked, given the information in Chapter 19 and recent events, do you see ISIS fitting most into the perspective of terrorism as war, crime, or disease? And how do you think that should affect U.S. policy? After reading the Chapter 19 by the Lutzes, I would say that it mostly fits the disease analogy. Um, to me, I read it and don't see how they could all be used in combination. They kind of separate them. So the Lutzes say, for example, the war analogy presumes the use of military methods and assumes that they can achieve victory. And with ISIS being an ideology, this is just one group of terror that is a radicalized ideology. I don't see completely eradicating an ideology. There'll always be someone else, like we saw Al-Qaeda first, and then ISIS rose from that. So I think there'll always be someone else that will pop up. So I don't think you can achieve a victory against this ideology, but maybe against ISIS, I believe you could. Second analogy was crime, and Lutzes give two important implications to this analogy. First being that terrorism won't disappear, and the second is that this approach is reactive. And the reason why I think it doesn't fit 100% into this category is because, yes, terrorism won't disappear, as we just said, talking about the war analogy, but it's not always reactive. You can take proactive measures against ISIS and this extreme terror. So I don't think it fits in that one, although we should be using some of the techniques in response, maybe that are like the traditional police tactics, such as harsh punishment after a crime, and using those punishments as deterrents from people committing future domestic terror attacks, etc. But to me, the analogy that fits best is the disease analogy. The Lutzes describe it, this analogy, assuming the need for a long-term strategy that addresses both the base causes but treats symptoms along the way. I think this fits the best for ISIS and radicalized Islamic terrorism in this case, but any terror really, any radicalized ideology. Because the symptoms of it you certainly can treat. You can identify what causes radicalization or where the sources of those radicalization may occur, and you can attack those, treat those symptoms, but then also you have to identify why that's happening, and there's obviously been lots of things going out there like regime overthrow and then not having a follow-up plan to prevent the voids that the terrorist groups then fill. So I think we can do something about that as one of the base causes, better strategy there. But yeah, just treating these symptoms as we go along and then identifying the root causes and then attacking those, I think is the best analogy for ISIS. So I would go with Lutz's disease analogy. Thanks, Wesley.